The following is a presentation of Muddy River News.
TI Trust stands for True Integrity. One of our core values that we had for our staff was integrity.
We want to be seen as a very integrity-driven company.
We've been doing trust services as an organization since the 1950s. It's all based on what's in the best interest of the clients.
At the end of the day, it's about serving that client and getting to a result that they need.
Hi, I'm Ron Kinscherf, and welcome to Muddy River News Business Spotlight, brought to you by TI Trust. And Larry Yingling's with us, and we're going to talk about Neylon Farms, which is a new subdivision in Mount Sterling, right? So how did this all come about?
Well, it's been a long time coming. We started about 7 or 8 years ago, actually looking for a place for people to have a home in Mount Sterling. We've got a lot of people that commute into Mount Sterling every day for Dot Foods and also for the correctional center. And we were short on housing. So some business leaders, me included, and supported by the Dot Foods family, the Tracy family, kind of spearheaded it, and we got together and started working on trying to find a place to build.
So you're with Service Master, so
Right.
You're obviously a part of the business community there. So how difficult a process was it to find some land?
It was very difficult. Yeah, that took us probably 3 years, believe it or not, to actually scope out several places. You know, we looked at probably 7 or 8 different places, and of course that's all, you know, being done behind the scenes.
Correct.
You know, and you don't know whether even if people would be willing to talk to you about selling something like that. But then we narrowed it down to 3, and then we spent probably 6 months to a year on those 3, deciding the cost. We actually sent it out to an engineering firm on those 3 sites, and then came up with this final site.
So when you're looking for a site, obviously there's a lot of I've never had to do that before, so I'm just curious what you had to look into. I'm sure you wanted a certain amount of acreage.
Yes.
What other things were involved in that decision?
Well, the infrastructure was the biggest thing. You know,
like what? What type?
Well, trying to get the water and the sewer and the roads and that sort of thing at the least amount of cost. So the first thing we wanted was something that we could hook into an existing sewer system.
Okay.
So there's just a lot, the way the terrain works around Mount Sterling, there's just a lot of acreage that flows away from Mount Sterling and doesn't flow into the system. So that kind of limited us on what we could do. It wasn't the only thing. I mean, we could have put in a pump station or another system, but the costs just go up. So we found this acreage that was within the an area that we could hook into the city sewer system.
Was that the hardest part about this decision, or finding the land? Was the infrastructure? I mean, was there lots of people coming up, hey, I got some land, but it wasn't a fit?
Actually, no, the land, just finding
land was hard?
Yeah, and even when we got to this, the folks that owned this piece of property, it was owned by the Catholic Church in Mount Sterling, and of course, that was given to the church by a family, you know, and it, since 1959 is when it was given to them. It had been part of that church, and they used that money for other things. And so it was a very emotional
I can imagine.
decision, you know, to do something like that. So that all had to be worked out, and to make it a win-win for both the church and the community, and I think we pulled that off.
So what was the church using the land for? Was it being farmed, or
It
was
was.
it? Okay.
It was all being farmed. It was all 100% tillable, so it was being farmed, and they traded from one family to another family within the church that got to farm it each year. I don't know exactly how that worked, but then, you know, giving that up, we had to make it on the purchase price and stuff so that it, you know, made sense.
Like you said, win-win for both groups.
Win-win, yeah.
So now you have the land, and you're looking for people to come in and obviously move to Brown County, or is it within Mount Sterling proper?
It is.
Okay, so go ahead, sorry.
I'm sorry. So the first thing, but it wasn't in the city limits. So, and it wasn't within a TIF district. And
which is what?
A tax increment financing district.
Gotcha.
Which was a way for the taxes of the real estate of the homes inside that area to be able to pay for that infrastructure.
Gotcha.
So the infrastructure was about $2.5 million between the land and putting all the roads and the sewer and the water, the electrical and the fiber was about $2.5 million. And we wanted it in this type of a district so we could get some of the money paid for back to the developers.
What I found was interesting is the amount of flexibility the prospective homeowner can have if they buy a lot. You know what I mean? Because they could use, because you have some designs already set up for the houses,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
But they don't have to use those. And they
No. And we've got several builders that are building within the subdivision, so they can select one of those, or they can bring somebody else in. We do have a homeowners association, an HOA, so the only thing we're going to do within the HOA is make sure that that home kind of fits the parameters, that we're looking for of the design and the look of a home in that subdivision. So we're not trying to be real restrictive, but we also, we want people to come, and it needs to be an attractive looking subdivision. And you do that through your homes, and you do that through how people maintain those homes.
So you're not going to make them only have oak trees, and the picket fence only has to be a certain height. You're not going to be that restricted. No. So, and have you sold any lots?
We've actually we have not sold any to the end user. We've got 6 lots that we're developing right now.
So you're developing, or okay?
The developer that put this all in, we weren't selling lots. There's 26 lots available right now in this first phase. There were 2 phases.
Okay.
It's a 50-lot subdivision.
Okay.
But we made the lots for the first 26. And we had some interest initially, and we thought we had 2 or 3 sold. It didn't work out with the financing or whatever it was. So we went to Plan B, is what we call it, in that we wanted to put some spec homes.
Okay.
in.
Okay,
And so that's what we've done right now.
okay, so I'm assuming you picked your own builder, and or a builder or 2 or 3, and you're
Right.
building some spec homes now. So those will be for potential buyers to walk through and then
Yes.
say, hey, I like that house. I want to put that on the lot. Now, can they make modifications to the spec home?
Well, we've got 2 homes that have been fully built, and they're actually, they've, what do you call it, when you put in all the furniture and all that?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
They've been
Yeah.
staged.
Staged, yes.
Staged, yeah. So 2 of them have been staged. We've had 2 open houses so far, and we've developed some interest from that. So 2 of them are ready to go. We've got 2 more that are probably about 80% done. And then we've got 2 more that will be built in the summer.
Now, let's say you use one of your builders, and I got my lot, I'm ready to roll. Would you have to wait for that builder? Are they doing other jobs beyond your?
It's a little hard to find builders right now.
Yes, that's why I asked.
Yeah, and so what we've done is we've tried to go through and qualify about a half a dozen builders that have said they want to build in Neylon Farms, that they will make themselves available within a adequate time frame, and that they have the capacity to do that. They have the people, they have the financial backing that they can do that for somebody. So we've screened those pretty well out of probably 20 builders in the area. And it's not that other builders aren't qualified, it's just that they may be really, really busy, and they've already are lined out for 2 or 3 years.
Have you talked to any of the local banks about rates and all that type of stuff?
have.
Is there different loan processes for these guys versus somebody who would buy a home outside of Neylon Farms?
There is, and most of that's been done by our realtor, Lance Grady from L. Grady Realty.
Okay.
And he, he's got all of the lots listed, and he's the one that's done more of that type of work with the banks and he really knows what the financing options are. That's something I'm not real.
No, but you have got that all mapped out.
Yeah, anybody that's interested in a lot or a home, first thing we do is put them in touch with Lance, and he can walk them through all of that stuff.
So are you trying to, the first thing I'm thinking of is this is a great idea. Hey, I might buy 12 lots and then resell the lots myself. Is that not? I'm assuming that's not something you want to do. Is you want to make sure you're selling to the prospective buyer?
Yeah. In the covenants that we set up, and it's administered through the HOA, they have to build a home within 1 year.
Okay.
And so we don't want somebody to do that. We're looking at not somebody that's doing speculation and trying to make money that way. We want homes to be built, and we want them built in a timely manner. So no, we're not going to do that at this point anyhow.
And I don't want to make this. So I guess the question is, I'm assuming Dot Foods was a big force behind all this, but why Mount Sterling? I mean, there's a lot of areas around.
Right.
I mean, I'm based on your site. You guys feel that Mount Sterling has a lot to offer.
We do, and we have a lot of people commuting into the area from Jacksonville, from Quincy, and from Hannibal, and from Macomb, and it's just crazy in the mornings if you're ever around Mount Sterling, and at 5 o'clock at night to see how many of those people are coming in. We're talking, probably 2,500 people coming into that community every day. And, Mount Sterling has a population of about 2,000, 2,200, and we want that community to grow. And the only way we can get it to grow is to have housing for people. I mean, we've, as a business person in the community, we've looked at 100 different ways to try to grow our community, from having the very best schools, which I think we've done a lot on that, to having very successful businesses and enough businesses, and having eating establishments, and working on that and beautifying the community. And then we've had recreational things that we've worked on, and so housing was just another facet of that, to try to make our community attractive to those people that are commuting, or maybe somebody that's wanting to retire into our community. We've got an older population. We've got a lot of people going into the retirement years, and that's a segment that we've been, entertaining a lot in this whole thing. What would those individuals like to see in a subdivision, in the type of houses that we're developing? They're not too excited about a 2-story house, for example.
Right.
So we got to think about that.
I'm at that stage. Yeah. Just from how much have you learned going into this? Obviously you're a service master.
Right.
I mean, has your head been spinning for the last 6 years or 4 years?
Yeah. Thank goodness that I had family in service master. I had 2 sons and a daughter that were very involved in the business, and they were running a lot of the day-to-day. That allowed me to, work with the community leaders and work on this project, and thank goodness for that. But as far as learning, I didn't know anything about TIF districts. I didn't know anything about making that subdivision within the city limits, so we had to get that all done. We had to work with the city very, very closely, and they've been just absolutely super to work with, And
I've heard you're running for mayor now.
No.
Well, thanks for coming in.
You're welcome.
It's great meeting you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is Larry Yingling, Neylon Farms, and I'm Ron Kinscherf. This has been Muddy River News Business Spotlight, brought to you by TI Trust.
TI Trust stands for True Integrity. One of our core values that we had for our staff was integrity.
We want to be seen as a very integrity-driven company.
We've been doing trust services as an organization since the 1950s. It's all based on what's in the best interest of the clients.
At the end of the day, it's about serving that client and getting to a result that they need.
Muddy River News. Our home, our news.